Bob Kapsttara is with us from the Daily News, and we're talking about Bronx politics. He runs the bureau, but he also writes a very interesting column. He calls it a gossip column. Bob, let's backtrack a little bit. Before Ruben Diaz Jr. got this appointment, because basically in the Bronx, people don't get to select their leaders very often. It's the machine that does it, and then the people get to confirm the machine's decision. Is that right?
Well, you have an overwhelming Democrats in the Bronx outnumber Republicans 10-1. I mean, then you have the machine, which is running things, hopefully, or thinks they're running things.
And since you mentioned 10-1, the guy who ran against
Anthony Rubistello,
right.
I'm sure a decent,
famous from The Sopranos.
Yes, right? You know, I'm sure a thoroughly decent man. But you know what? The Republicans do have to wave the flag. And I applaud him for running. He knew he was going to be a little bit of a joke, perhaps, but
he was serious about this.
And
I mean,
he was,
you
know,
serious,
and
right?
he was serious. He pulled 4,000 votes, and you know, I've mentioned this to some of the party operatives. I'm interested to see where those 4,000 votes came from.
What part of the Bronx?
And they want to look at it. Yeah, there may be pockets, or it may be solid territory. I think after an election, you do analyze where those votes came from, because this election, as I've pointed out, it was a rehearsal. It was a rehearsal.
They have to do it all over again in November.
Well, the petitioning starts, I believe, June 9th, filing on July 2nd for the September primary. Now, I don't know if Ruben is going to get any challengers. I think the way they ran this election, a challenger would be doing a kamikaze run.
Absolutely.
But again, come November, that's fine. But it's more than just Ruben. I think it's the party that's flexed its muscles to say we are a strong machine. We can put out we can deliver 16,500 petition signatures within 3 days during a blizzard.
This in spite of the fact that the machine was fighting with itself not too long ago as far as the chairman and so forth, right?
Right. Well, that battle is now, I would say it's dormant. You have former chairman Jose Rivera. You have a small coterie of loyalists. Assemblyman Peter Rivera, who seems to be doing a lot of the political behind-the-scenes work in that camp. Assemblywoman Carmen Arroyo, and a few others. Only a couple of district leaders. District leaders are important because they vote on the new chairman.
They're on Rivera's side.
Well, only
right?
a few. But what is going on right now, the Rivera camp is looking ahead 16 to 18 months from now when the assembly elections come up again. And I think they are going to try and wrestle some district leaders back to their side. They think they can retake the party at this point. But how realistic that is, I can't say at this point.
Were you surprised when Joel Rivera decided not to run against Ruben Diaz?
No, I think he saw that it was much easier to go for a third council term. He had nothing to lose.
And what are his chances there?
I think he's got to walk. Radamé Perez, who was a strong challenger,
off, right?
I would say Radamé probably could have gotten the boulder 2/3 of the way up the hill. The Rivera camp is very strongly entrenched in Joel's Central Bronx Tremont district. I think Joel probably would have taken it unless there were surprises. Chairman Carl Hastie had indicated he was going to remain neutral in this one I have to say, probably for various political reasons. Mm-hmm. Maybe for extending the olive branch to the Jose Rivera camp. I don't think the Rivera camp would have taken that olive branch. I think right now they still have that dream of seizing power back. Who knows for how long that they'll keep that dream alive.
The machine recently finally nominated at the Dominican. The Dominican community in the Bronx has been growing incredibly.
Yes.
Nelson Castro finally gets the nod.
Well, that was a Jose Rivera move.
Yes, I know. Tell me about that.
Well, stay tuned on that one.
But I mean, what do you think of Nelson Castro's appointment and the fact that the Dominican community now has at least one? Because I remember when I was at the Daily News, okay, the complaint was the Puerto Rican leadership saying the Bronx Machine doesn't let Puerto Ricans in the door.
That's true. Back to Roberto.
Now it's the Puerto Ricans who control the machine, and the Dominicans are the ones who are knocking on the door.
Back to Roberto Ramirez.
Right.
You know, back to Jose Rivera especially. And if you look at the census statistics, they are a growing population in the borough. I think they are slowly organizing themselves. That's been one of the things that's been holding them back. They have not organized themselves well. They have not developed clubs. They have not developed a cohesive, at least one or two or three voices with votes behind them. I don't know that they're totally there yet. I think Nelson Castro was a step, but I think it was also for various assorted reasons, political reasons, that dwelt more with the party revolt. And Jose saying, hey, I've got a Dominican here. I think Nelson is going to face a challenge when he comes up. I think he may have some court problems with the voter registration issues. We'll see about that one.
Since you mentioned court problems, didn't both Ruben Diaz Jr. and Sr. also have some investigation that you wrote about?
Well,
what happened with that?
State Attorney General Andrew Cuomo supposedly is looking at some stuff that...
Still looking at it?
Well, that's what I was told. I have developed a couple of sources who were called down, not subpoenaed, but called down to speak to Cuomo's people. There was just a federal investigation that concluded with no findings of wrongdoing. So I think you have a combination of maybe Cuomo picking over some of the bones of that federal investigation to see if there might be state situation there. Elliot Spitzer, a couple of years back, charged state senator, the Reverend Ruben Diaz, with some minor hanky-panky, fined him $5,000 for using state funding to take furniture from a nonprofit and use it in his office. But I also think that Cuomo may be looking at that, whether Spitzer might have given the Rev a walk on some of those charges involved there. I don't know if the statute of limitations
Can they
applies.
go back that far?
Well, that's a question. Would the statute of limitations apply? I don't know. I don't know. But some have suggested that might be what's going on. Again, with investigations, a lot of the times you never know what the results are. I mean, I've been told, and I've confirmed, subpoenas to various politicians have been issued, and then you never hear again. Usually, federal government, especially U.S. attorneys, will not tell you if an investigation was concluded with no finding. In this federal case, the lawyers for the Diazes said they were told by the U.S. attorney that there was no finding of anything wrong. So we shall see.
So who replaces Ruben Diaz in the State Assembly?
There's going to be a special election. They have designated a young man who's...
The machine has designated, is it?
Well, it's interesting. The designee is a young, pretty talented staffer from State Senator Diaz's office. I believe he's about 28 years old. Marcos Crespo. Probably, I would assume, we'll get machine, party. You call it machine, I call it party. Apples, oranges. To the better or for the worse.
Organization or
whatever. Sometimes it's a machine, sometimes it's a democratic organization, lowercase d. I assume he might have some challenges, but again, I think he will have pretty strong backing. Also, Assemblywoman Aurelia Green, who is, I was kidding Aurelia, I say you took the Democratic Party retirement plan. She will be Ruben's new deputy borough president. She has designated her chief of staff, Vanessa Dixon, to run for her seat. This will be a special election called by Governor Patterson. I'm not sure when that election will be held. It should be held fairly soon. So we shall see. It'll keep me busy.
For a long, long time there, it looked like these two major established political families in the Bronx were going to go at each other, the Riveras and the Diazes.
Yes.
And
they did.
Well,
and they did.
To some extent, but it didn't, when Joel bowed out of the race, then we, you know.
Well, I'm talking about...
Those of us in the media were looking for the 15th round, you know.
I'm talking about, I'm talking about the party takeover.
Yeah.
You know, dethroning Jose.
Yes.
That was a battle royal. It got pretty dirty on the streets, not physical violence, but some physical threats even involved to some district leaders. That was a battle royal. I was, every day I'd be more surprised at how, at seeing how this was suddenly, it was going this way, it was going this way, and then it was really going this way. That county election where they held, Jose held his first at the Paradise Theater, pulled the plug on the loudspeaker, walked out, and then Carl Hasty did his. That was an amazing night.
We're going to take a quick break.
Sure.
We'll be right back with a lot more from Bob Kapsttara of the Daily News. I want to know about all these families. I mean, is it a good thing that all these politicians are related? We'll be right back.